Good evening, everybody. My name is Dreamboat, and I am here with Avril for Keks versus AVANT GARDE of Oz Fortress Heroes League. I can't believe I still can do this all in one breath. Avril, how are you doing tonight?
Good evening. I'm going to be talking a little bit more normal tonight, Dreamboat, but here we go. AVANT GARDE versus Keks, two of the best teams in the scene. Keks have been doing extremely well so far this season. AVANT GARDE still catching up. They're still really good. Slight roster changes. I mean, Keks have also had a roster change. They picked up a really good tank in the form of Cinderella that we saw the previous week. And now AVANT GARDE looking to fill their new flick spot, and we actually have Wackety playing on their team tonight.
That'll be an intriguing event here, I think. I'm not sure which team I don't know who I'm going to take in this one. It's, yeah.
Well, the big factor I've got to look forward to is TJK on the old McCree. He's been a pretty fearsome McCree, even pre-McCree buff. I mean, even on launch, he was a really good McCree, and after the nerf, didn't quite see him play, but his left click aim has always been really solid. And you got Taki to look on for the AVANT GARDE side, who is their key DPS player, who I'm going to be watching really closely tonight as well. Beyond that, I'm really looking forward to seeing KS1 back on the Reinhardt. His tank players have been really phenomenal this season, and although AVANT GARDE haven't really been top 4 material so far from what we've seen,
yeah,
he's still really just one of the top tanks in my opinion right now.
Yeah, and this whole Taki versus TJK is going to be probably the central duel of this game, easily. Like, they're so quality, and I'm curious to see how they pull it out on Lijiang, which is our next map. And I think we're ready to go there right now. It's time for Lijiang Tower. Leon. Either way, it's a tower in China. So, yeah.
Just like the announcer says, Lijiang Tower. I'm really, to be honest, it's very much going to be the Taki versus TJK show, but not only that, but it's going to be the KS1 versus Cinderella show as well, because Cinderella has always been, for me anyway, one of the best tanks in the region. We've seen him in Camp Group Primed, where, you know, it was a good team, but now that he's on the Keks, which is an even better team, it's really, for him, from what I can tell anyway, his potential has been, you know, basically unlocked. This is the team that he was made to play on, and KS1 has just always been really solid, as I've already said. So don't count out Osa either. Just remember that he's a pretty good Genji player. He's actually probably one of the best Genjis around, you know, right up there, pretty close to Atar and Yuki in the scene. So looking forward to see if Atar can bring that one out. He's actually hovering back onto the Reaper, so we'll see what he plays tonight.
He will be sleeping tight and reaping tight, I hope. But yeah, it'll be curious to see whether the Cinderella story kind of continues here as we are heading off. People are running out of spawn. And we have that D.Va damage matrix already doing a really good job of stopping here. A lot of good positioning out of AVANT GARDE so far, though. And they're all on the point now.
So Keks are the first ones to get on the point. AVANT GARDE are a bit slow here, but they got the Reinhardt shield. They got the double tank lineup with the D.Va as well. Tung are going to be on that Genji. They're trying to find an opening to get in here, but the tanks of the Keks are doing a really good job of spacing them out. And it's interesting enough, TJK is actually on the D.Vas, on the Pharah. So I'm interested to see how he plays with that. Already has a rocket barrage. What the hell, Dreamboat?
Wow. Wow. And D.Va kills herself, because when TJK dismantles your team like that,
yep,
I think that's the only answer. I don't condone suicide, but I'd kill myself if that was the situation as well.
Something I actually forgot to mention, but Primed is also being played on the Keks side, so that's another interesting new addition to their team. Primed and Cinderella actually both from Camp Group Prime, so I actually didn't notice that before, so I'm going to be looking forward to how they play as a team once again. But you know, AVANT GARDE have to take another push here. Taki's going to get the first kill on the Elam, and it's looking pretty good for them on the
I knew Taki is not going to grab anyone with that. The D.Va absolutely denying Break It Down comes in here, and it's TJK once again opening up a kill. The other ults are coming out here. Tongue grabs 2 of them. This is looking a little bit better for AVANT GARDE. Not too sure. Taki grabbing one, and Mimum actually picking off his rivals, and Yada should secure the point.
Let's do this.
To be honest, I didn't know how effective this Pharaoh was going to be, but somehow TJK has managed to make it work. You know, he got the first ultimate straight up on the first point. Really good push by AVANT GARDE to finally contest him. Here comes a black hole. TJK getting the combo in there as well. This is probably one of the real reasons why they picked this combo, because you needed the damage from the barrage as well. They weren't happy with completely just using the Reaper. So I mean, there it is. Here comes Keks again.
Unbelievable play from TJK here. Taki trying to do what he can on McCree. He's again gonna waste that fan hammer, just not grab anything. Tongue comes in here, picks up another one. Prime though with 2 big frags before going down.
There's no DPSs alive for AVANT GARDE anymore, so this isn't a really good situation for them. This fight is no longer looking really good. Mimum's still on the point. He's still trying to contest at the moment. KS1 on the outside. He's actually going to get picked out by TJK, so it's really just Wackety and Mimum, but Wackety goes down as well, so Mimum's going to have to fall back. Here come the DPS players from AVANT GARDE coming back in though. Tongue already on the point.
Tongue doing everything he can, but OCR is just gonna back him off there with those dual shotties. He picks off Taki too here. Break It Down comes in from Aaron on himself. I do not agree with that call, and he will be taken out by... He will be eliminated by a limb, because I had the fun.
I mean, AVANT GARDE just aren't really grouping at the moment. They're getting picked off one by one. They're losing players that are feeding into the point, basically one at a time. And Keks are basically saying, okay, here we go. Here's one player, Tongue, you're dead. Elam, you're next, now you're dead. And Aaron, now you're dead. So, for a good, 20% of that cap, AVANT GARDE just didn't really group up. But here come the real push, though. Let's see if they can make this one count.
So good, they split it. Cinderella picks off 2 with the Diva push, and now this is looking so good for Keks. TJK grabbing Mimum on the McCree is going to be another crucial pick. OCR grabs one, Haste grabs another, and that's going to be map 1. Segment 1. What are we calling these?
Part 1, segment 1. Movie number 1, round 1. That's the one that's going to go to Keks. AVANT GARDE had one really good showing on that on night markets. I mean, they had one push where they really secured it. That's when they used all the ultimates to try and get in there. But the rest of the game was very Keks controlled. They basically had the entire game under lock aside from one fight loss. And as soon as AVANT GARDE were losing players, they just never had a chance to really regroup and go for a push. And when they finally did at 90%, it just wasn't enough anymore. By that time, it was really too late. I mean, by 90%, you're about to lose the game.
So, Avril, do you like rooms and do you like control? Because we are going to a control room. That is segment 2, round 2. And, look at this. At the full backdoor server room push coming in here. Taki doing some damage, but it's KS1 who's getting so lit up early here. That does not look ideal for AVANT GARDE again.
Now, well, Keks' positioning here is really good because AVANT GARDE are actually caught in a choke. They're already starting to break out now. Wackety and KS1 leading the way. Mimum already goes down, so they're already spelling doom for AVANT GARDE. Elam's going to take down Wackety, so, I mean, Keks are all over the show already. They're securing this control point, and they're taking minimal losses, Dreamboat.
Yeah, this is absolutely devastating. Tongue may not even... no, he won't get out there. TJK with a really good hunt down because of that Discord orb. And these Discord orbs are doing so much work. This is just mind-blowing stuffage here out of Keks. Like, no, they're taking inches, or they're given inches, and they're taking miles with it. And now they're being given miles, and, well, I don't know what else they can take here. Like, they're taking everything. The
thing for AVANT GARDE here is that they do have an ultimate ready on Taki. That's pretty much all they have to go. But Haste's Black Hole is going to be the big one to secure this fight if they can. A lot of players being caught up, but where's the damage follow-up? It was a little bit slow there. Taki on the backline with the delay. He can't pick anyone up either.
Taki's high noons have been less than swell, I think would be the only word for it. And TJK grabs 2.
There we go.
What a god.
All we've been waiting for. Closed out by a flashbang headshot. And Keks now holding forward, so 53%, and we're looking at a pretty secure shutout so far. All the ultimates basically on the side of Wood Keks again. AVANT GARDE not having the tools to be able to retake this. They have 2 pushes left basically. Oh, this is good though. TJK's down. Opportunity.
Yeah, and here comes the Transcendent Ceiling. I hear
a little bit early
coming down here, but nothing's really gonna go down here. The break it down is so clutch here. And OCR is getting 2 quick kills there. It looks like he's not gonna grab the D.Va because the D.Va's gonna ult, but he does clean up Mini D.Va in the after fight. Jeez, OCR looking like Reaper Jesus here.
Yeah, Rico doesn't even really need to play Genji on the Reaper already. He's just doing such a great job. He came back and secured that with the Reaper ult and the Death Blossom, and now Wood Keks just have to hold forward 98%. AVANT GARDE aren't even going to be able to touch this point. They're not going to get a single percent on this.
They just got stonewalled to drop the map. That is... ouch. 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 Yeah.
They're going to have to do a little bit of consolidating here. I mean, at this point, you really just have to forget about this map and go straight onto Dorado and have to just think about the next map, because that was that control point center was really crushing.
TJK, look at this Justice. It's so clutch. Getting 3 huge kills and OCR coming in to clean them up. Just that's kind of the summary of the game right there.
I'll say it like this. Basically, what Wood Keks did here on both the night markets and the control center is that on the opening fight, the rush to the control point, they had the better positioning every time. You look at night markets, they were the first ones to take positioning on the actual point. This forces AVANT GARDE to play on the choke. Every time AVANT GARDE plays on the choke, they walk in, and you see what TJK did there. He got enough spam damage out that he actually managed to have a rocket barrage, and he cleared out AVANT GARDE. Now let's take a look at control center once again. AVANT GARDE making the backside push. Their opening push is all the way at the back. I don't even know what to call that. I think that's like, I mean, it looks like the server room, but you had Wood Keks coming on the high ground on the other side of the server room, and obviously Wood Keks are at an advantage there because the actual control point that they need to cap is right behind Wood Keks, and if AVANT GARDE want to get to that control point to contest it, they have to go through the Wood Keks, and once again they're caught in a choke. This time they have to break out of the choke. They broke out of the choke a little bit better, but they still got picked off, and I just truly believe it was the opening moments of those 2 games that really set the pace for those 2 maps. I mean, AVANT GARDE's positioning, AVANT GARDE's initial pushes just led them into bad positioning, and that lost them the momentum.
And I feel very smart here, seeing in chat that it is Rico, and I've been saying OCR this entire time.
Oh, I mean, it's OSR and it's also Rico. Whichever one you want to use.
I'll go with Rico for map 2. And I mean, while I've got the topic on,
speaking of map 2,
Rico's going off. He played really strong on Reaper, and I'd look to see that continue on Dorado, which is where we are headed now.
As I mentioned before we started Lijiang Towers, one of Rico's key picks is actually the Genji. We didn't get to see that on Lijiang, but we might be able to see it here on Dorado. So it's definitely possible. I also mentioned, you know, they've got a couple of new guys in the team. Cinderella's obviously meshed pretty well, but Prime playing for them tonight, that's a little bit interesting. I want to see how he goes, but so far it's been looking pretty solid. So Wood Keks still looking really strong here.
Please tell me a Lim's doing it. Please tell me a Lim's doing it. Please tell me a Lim's doing it. Please tell me a Lim's doing it.
He's thinking about it.
Please tell me he's doing it.
I'm sure he's trolling you, but
everybody trolls me, dude. I'm kidding. I've never been trolled in my life.
So, Red being attacked here, I would not surprise me at all that Rico goes into Genji. I'm hoping he plays the Genji here. It's pretty effective on the first 2 points of Dorado. Haste onto that Xayah. He's been pretty good on the Xayah tonight. They've managed to get some pretty decent combos off. And, you know, it just sort of looks like Roadhog's sort of fallen out a bit. But speaking of Roadhog, Wackity's actually going to pick up the Roadhog on the defense side. That's going to be a little bit interesting. I still really enjoy watching Roadhog. I think he's got good pick potential. I think his hook is still really, really dominant. But I think a lot of teams at the moment just feel like he's in a bit of a weird place. So that's going to be interesting. But once again, the TJK versus Taki 1v1 battle is going to take place again on this map. And TJK won the last one, but I don't want to count Taki out just yet.
The other thing worth noting with Roadhog is you can't forget about the tilt factor. What I mean by that is, I mean, how tilting is it to get hit by a hook around a wall?
Yeah.
And last second it goes off on a...
How tilting is it for you that he has Ana on the whole time and then decides to change off at the last moment for you?
Very. I look forward every time I think that we might see it. It is always a heartbreak. But a good opening push here coming from Wickdeck. They've gained a lot of ground off it.
AVANT GARDE lost their positioning so quickly. I don't know why they just disappeared. I felt like they could have held that for a little bit longer, contested for a little bit longer, traded a bit more damage, but that top hole just didn't achieve anything there, so I'm a little bit curious about that. But the hole that's going to take place is one directly on the point, and this time they're going to be taking the initiative, Dreamboat.
The initiative has come in here, although it's not working too much. Tongue does get a pick, but Rico trades it out and gets Mimum, which I think is the much preferred pick out of the two of them there. Yeah, this fight is it looked good, but it's
still even.
One going down.
Oh, here comes Rico.
Like, Rico!
Oh, yeah. What can Taki do?
Taki can't
he's just doing nothing. He wasn't just immediately dying. They have to give up this point. This is the thing with defense. You can't do one-to-one trades. I mean, one-to-one trades are better than nothing. But in order for defense to really work, your trades have to be a lot better than just one-to-one, because the attacker's respawn is so much closer than yours, and if you want to get back into the point and hold, well, you have to be making a lot more effective trades. Okay, Wackety going to go onto the Diva now from the Roadhog. Interesting change up there. You'll also see Tongue going on the Soldier, so... You know, I think they just really want to hold this top point now. I mean, the Soldier's going to be pretty good holding the top ledge, and it's going to be interesting to see how Woodkicks approach this point. It doesn't look like they've had really many change-ups. I mean, Haste has gone now onto the Diva from the Zion. That's the other only real change-up they've had.
And a high noon from TJK. That was 4 shots fired. He only picked up KS1, but he did some good damage there. And again, some angry monkey getting right in their face as well. Wickedy's actually the one picking up Rico.
Look at the cart
doing all kinds of work.
Look how far they've managed to get the cart going during that time.
It's gotten under the arch, which is
here comes Taki. Oh, he got cancelled. TJK takes him down again. That was really unfortunate for Taki. Both soundwaves being popped.
Jesus.
I'm going with Jesus. To GK. Here comes Tranquility from Prime. This will probably secure the point. Rico's gonna take out Tongue. He's still on a rampage though, because Oren's not gonna last too long there either. Wackety now the only defender.
Rico! 3 of them haste with 2. That's unbelievable.
These have been 2 very quick caps so far, Dreamboat, and the momentum is all in the way of the wood kicks. I mean, look how far forward they are. TJK's going to take down Taki again. He's completely dominating this McCree, this McCree duel, if it were to say, and Rico as well. These are 2 really high value targets and 2 high value players on the side of Wick Kicks that are absolutely dominating.
Yeah, I mean, I guess the one thing that they can possibly take solace in
here comes
is
Haste.
it won't. Oh my God, Haste! Oh my
Did you see what
God!
KS1 had his shield on the Diva mech and then decided at the last moment to turn around, killing 2 of his own teammates.
I'm God's fat just because of how crucial that was. Prime here picks up one. TJK grabbing Nemo. Again, TJK gets Tongue.
Triple.
TJK gets KS1. Lim cleans it up. And I lied. I was going to say that they could take solace in the fact that this wasn't the worst time we've seen on this map. I forget what the time was on the game that we did earlier this week. Was that
it bad? I can't remember.
It was the one where
I want to talk about this last push for a moment here. This is where Team Woodkicks are coming in with Haste's mech. What he did here with the self-destruct in the mech was really crucial. He actually popped the mech behind the cart, forcing KS1 to turn around. As soon as KS1 turns around, he doesn't have his shield towards the actual team of Woodkicks. Here they come pushing in. The shield isn't facing Woodkicks. He's now deciding, okay, do I actually look at the team or do I look at the mech? He chooses at the last moment to look at the team, but 2 of his members die, including himself. So really, either way there, it was a win-win situation for the Woodkicks. I mean, they had the shield completely nullified at that point, and then they go for the push, and they secure it. TJK picking up a triple. And the other big thing is Taki died to the explosion from the self-destruct as well, so they lost a key DPS player to defend. Just a lot of things going wrong for AVANT GARDE in that last push.
And let's just talk about TJK. He took McCree, made him look McCreasy, and came out as McCreasus.
Yeah, TGZ is doing work right now. TGZ. I don't really have much else to comment on, but you know, I think if Tung can do a really good job here and be as impactful as Rico was on the Genji, Tung is not a bad Genji himself. I still think that Rico's Genji outclasses his a little bit, but you're not going to be able to see a Genji 1v1 here because the Genji isn't going to be played on the defense. It is rarely being played on defense anyway. Rico, we've seen his Reaper before. It's very effective. He knows what he's doing. Haste, obviously, on the Zarya. You've got one critical damage combo here. You have a Black Hole and you have a Death Blossom. That's going to be your key defense combo. The only thing about I'll comment on about defense once again is would Keks need to be making sure their trades are better. They have to be the ones killing the DPSs. They have to make sure they keep their players up a lot better than the offense, because the offense is going to have many chances to attack. The defense gets one chance to defend. If they fail that defense, they lose the point. 3 minutes 44, they're going to have to hold. They're going to have to make the hold of their lives.
Well, and I'm just briefly going to touch on it. You talked about
sorry,
Rico.
no, they're not. They don't have to make the hold of their lives. AVANT GARDE have to make the attack of their lives.
That's a better way of putting it.
Yeah,
it is
that's what I was trying to say.
Time.
Yep.
But I'm just briefly going to say as we go here is that we saw Rico's Reaper last map on Lijiang, and he did a ton of work with it. I like it on defense here, but it is the really passive hold from AVANT GARDE, from Keks. But they know that they can just give up a little bit of space here if they can take a mile.
Well, here comes the spam damage. Now, KS1's going to do his best to keep the Matrix up, but it does, you know, it does have resource to keep up. Interesting to see how they're going to push him now. They're going to go from the stairs way. Here comes the speed boost coming in. Cinderella's going to get popped with the flashbang. A little bit of damage coming on there, but Osa's going to take the first kill to Taki.
Cinderella goes down to Tung as well. TJK, though, picking off Meme. He is still doing so much work, and look how close he is to that ulti. He's furthest ahead at 93%.
Oh, this is big. They got Rico. That's something they can use for their next push. I mean, Tung goes down here, but Cinderella died and Rico died. Rico died fairly late. Cinderella's coming back on the point now. If AVANT GARDE can regroup right at this very instant and make another push, Rico's not going to be a factor here, but KS1 gets picked. That's not good for AVANT GARDE at all. They needed their tank alive. They needed all their players alive to make another push, because here comes Rico, and, you know, they just didn't get a chance to take advantage of the fact that they got a DPS player.
Well, and the other thing worth noting here as the push is starting to come forward, it's 2 minutes and 20 seconds is how much time they have to play with here. That is not a lot of time to go for the entire map. They are getting a lot of space, but Aaron going down to Cinderella is not ideal. Now the push is coming in here. TJK in a limb grab to Rico, the only casualty so far.
Oh, opportunity
will come in, but primed in a limb grab, 2 more.
Oh, the Transcendence completely countering the Dragon Blade there. I mean, the whole thing you want to do with Dragon Blade is you want to be able to cut people down quickly, but the Transcendence healing out-heals the Dragon Blade's damage, so a perfect defensive counter. And this is the other reason why Zenyatta is so good right now, because the Transcendence is basically like a pseudo-invulnerability for your entire team, and now there's just not enough time left for AVANT GARDE to do this. They need to be able to take every push now without failing completely. They need to be able to roll with Keks, and from the performance they're showing at the moment, I don't know if that's possible.
Yeah, this is bleak to say the least. Especially if you are an AVANT GARDE fan. Tobelstein comes in here from the offense. This is somehow no one has died here. Tung and KS1 are actually the ones getting picks. Taki and Tung get more. This push could be successful. A good hammer down there, but it's not going to be enough. And finally, the defense is broken with a minute left.
This is the kind of push they need to be making before. I mean, they had the ultimates this time, I guess, but let's take a look at what happened there. KS1 failed his ultimate. It's a rare miss from KS1. I think he's a really good tank player, but what he just showed there wasn't really living up to his reputation that I'm giving him. I mean, I expected a lot better from KS1 there. He didn't deliver on that Earth Shatter blow. Cinderella, on the other hand, did a really good Earth Shatter, but his team was already dead. Tung on the backside did a lot of work there, and it actually looked like a fail by Keks. They didn't take advantage of the black hole, and they lost their entire defense. Here comes the counter initiative from Keks.
And there's a good little pen in there, but that might just be, it will be KS1 throwing his life away.
Needs to get in here right now. He's staying on top of the building, peppering from the sidelines, and it's not effective at all. He needs to be a tank. If you lose KS1 in the front line, which you did, you lose your Reinhardt, you need to get your Diva in there straight away to be able to soak up some damage, get the defense matrix in. If you want to do some damage, you have to get him up in there up close as well. A couple of mistakes coming up from AVANT GARDE. They need to be grouping together. They need to be doing this a lot more coordinated and stop losing their tanks.
Time's over. It's already over here.
The teams are still giving it their all. They are still playing it like it's still on. But you're right. Unfortunately, it's all over for AVANT GARDE. They're not going to be able to take this. I don't know if they realize it. It is actually GG. They can't get any more points. It's all over. But you know, AVANT GARDE's still just showing, you know, for the pride anyway, they can make a couple of good pushes. They managed to get the point 1. It was a good push that got them the point 1. A little bit sloppy from Keks, and AVANT GARDE took advantage of that. So here we go. Elam says warm up for Zowie. Fair enough. Tonight's the big playoffs, so you know, warm up all you need. Keks are certainly, I mean, both these teams are still really good. It's good for them to warm up against each other.
Yeah, it is definitely, there's definitely merit here to playing it out, especially, I mean, if you're looking at the really good defense and you put up a bad defense yourself, it's always good to see what other teams do on defense. It's good. It'll help. It'll help you develop.
Yeah, I mean, for anything, it'll help for a little bit of, maybe for a little bit of morale or something, or just a little, just to have fun in the game right now. I can't really, if I'm going to look back at the games played tonight, I can't really say much else other than Keks are still extremely dominant. I think Keks have shown some incredible improvement from the first time I saw them in the scene. Way back on release, I mean, way back on release they were great, they were sort of middle ground, but now I think they've really cemented themselves within the top 4. AVANT GARDE, on the other hand, I think at one stage they started probably on even footing with I was going to say Team TJK, but it's called the Keks. They probably started quite evenly with Keks, and now they've really fallen behind. I'm not too sure what happened. Their Keks improved quite steadily. AVANT GARDE have kind of just stayed where they are, and you know, I'm seriously hoping that with their new lineup changes, it could bring a little bit new flavor to the team, bring some momentum to the team, and give them something they really need. But I still have high hopes for AVANT GARDE. I still think they're a very solid team. I still think they have really good key members on their team that they can play with. That's just not going to happen against Keks tonight because Keks are just so good at the moment.
The other thing worth noting, which is one thing that we don't really talk too much about, at least, I mean, we haven't in our last few casts, is teams do have their maps. Like, there is definitely a map pool starting to develop for different teams. And we don't actually know. AVANT GARDE may have actually come a long way, and we might just be looking at, hey, they're really not a Lijiang team, and they're really not a Dorado team. If it was 2 different maps, that might have been a different story.
It is, you know, I totally agree with you. Teams rather have their favorite maps. They have maps that are good and they have maps that are bad on. But the difference in those maps really comes down to map knowledge or knowing. I'm going to call it hard strats, and what I mean by hard strats is this is how we push, this is how we hold, this is where you stand, this is where you don't stand, this is what hero you play here and why you play it here. But that's not the reason AVANT GARDE lost. So they didn't lose because their hard strats were worse. They lost because their team coordination in general just wasn't on par with the Keks. And dare I say it, I don't want to go too far with this, but there's a potential that also the Keks, player for player, mechanically, kind of outclass AVANT GARDE a little bit as well. I just think TJK right now, especially on the McCree, is sitting really up there in the high echelons of how McCree can really be played at the moment. Taki's a good McCree. I don't know if he's quite there, but he's a very good player nonetheless. Same goes with Rico and Tung. I mean, I think they're both solid Reapers, but when we compare the Genjis, it's hard to compare Tung's Genji to Osa's. It's just not quite there on the same level yet. So, I mean, there's a couple of reasons. Those are a couple of reasons why AVANT GARDE right now aren't keeping up with Keks. and you see the differences in the coordination as well. You see, you know, it does also come down to the fact that there's new players on both sides of the team, but yeah, a couple of issues just really. The better the team you play, the more of these issues come to light, and the more obvious they become.
Yeah, and I mean, one of the biggest things that at least I spotted in terms, and we did comment on, in terms of like where that coordination kind of fell apart for AVANT GARDE, was that opening hold here on Dorado, where they could have held high ground a lot longer than they did, and they just kind of buckled from like the up top and fell back, and that really resulted in them losing because it was a really strong push that then came in from Keks, and it cost them 0.1 and kind of set the pace for the Keks push, which at 344 was incredibly fast.
Yeah, you know, they never really, and this is true for Lijiang as well, and actually I think it's a lot more obvious on Lijiang when we're going to talk about the team coordination here. If you looked at the way AVANT GARDE played, especially on Lijiang, especially on night markets, you had points in that map where they basically just trickled players one by one, and it wasn't even overtime yet. It wasn't even a time where you're desperately needing to trickle players one by one, which in which case, you know, at any time you are trickling players one by one, you've pretty much lost already. But I mean, it's even just happening in the middle of the game, and even some of the hard strats, I might say, have just put better on Keks side as well. Going back to their initial fight positioning, the way they chose to make their initial push, where they decided to fight from, and where AVANT GARDE decided to fight from. I think the issues were actually a lot clearer on Lijiang than were on Dorado. But you know, with such dominating display by Keks on both maps, it's, you know, it's difficult to point out now some of the other issues. You just don't even have enough time to see some of the more intricate stuff.
Yeah, definitely. Like the feeding one by one, it's, I mean, I came up with a term for that, the Burger King strat. Although I've been informed that you guys don't have Burger King in Australia and New Zealand.
They have Hungry Jacks in Australia, and we have Burger King in New Zealand.
I think I'm gonna go with the buffet strat, because like, what do you do? Like, what happens at the buffet? You feed yourself a lot of food. A lot of feeding goes on at a buffet, so I think I'm gonna go to the buffet strat. I might just keep the Burger King strat because it's a great name, but it really was. They just kind of single file. It's like, hey, when do you spawn? Okay, you're the next one up. Just go feed and then die again.
Well, that match is now over. I'm gonna quickly just double check with admins if we're doing any sort of interviews. I don't know if any players are gonna come in, but let's talk briefly about what's actually the next match now. We have Nocturnal Nightmare versus Moist. So I've only really seen Nocturnal Nightmares play before, so I haven't seen the other team. We'll skip that for the moment though, because I think Elam's about to come in.
I would have said that, but everybody left and said nothing about interviews. I don't know.
Elam is definitely, he's in the chat at the moment. So
hey, we brought him down. We did bring him down, so that's something. Elam is alive in here. Hello, Elam.
How you doing?
I am very good.
Glad to hear that.
Congratulations on your win tonight. Really dominating display. You guys have been looking really solid, and every week that gets by, you guys just kind of look better and better. So there's a free compliment for you. One of the things that I wanted to look at tonight that was a bit new for me, maybe I'm behind the game, maybe I've been living under a rock, but have you guys picked up Primed for your core roster?
Yeah, so when we picked up Cinderella, Primed was kind of like a package deal with him. And originally he was just going to fill our sub spot, which he was completely fine with. But Fail has just gone back to uni, and he has a lot of night classes now. So Fail has become our sub, and we've picked Primed up. And it's actually worked out really well, because Primed was a top player, or like a Div 1 player in TF2, and he was really good at Shoot Mania. So he has like those really good DM skills that the rest of us do. And just as the Mercy's kind of gone out of the meta, we've picked him up like at the perfect time. So it's worked out for us.
Yeah, I'm really glad Primed has managed to find a home because I really rate him from TF2 as a TF2 player myself, as someone that's played a lot against Primed and a couple of times with him as well. He's always consistently been one of my favorite players from the TF2 scene, and ever since Comp Primed have the team that's named after him really disbanded, you know, that team had a lot of players I really liked and a lot of players that I thought had really good potential. A couple of those players are still missing teams, but it's good to see most of the core players have now found new homes. I think I said previously to you, maybe in another interview, like picking up Cinderella, how's that been going? Looking pretty good. He looked good that other week. He looks even better now. You guys seem to have gelled really well with Cinderella. So I guess in terms of a question I'm going to ask here, you guys ran a Pharah on Lijiang. Pharah not being the very popular pick in the meta right now. Run us through that a little bit.
We kind of picked Pharah at the moment because we know that McCree is very a dominating pick right now, and McCree obviously shuts down Pharah pretty easily. But with the way that point, the night market point is situated, Pharah actually works really well just in the sky because it's so open. You can easily focus down anybody that wants to pick on the Pharah. So it's like if they want to pick on the Pharah, then they're going to just have to deal with being shot at by everybody else. And the massive splash damage helps immensely with the double tank comps that a lot of people are running right now. So we don't always run the Pharah, but it's great to throw it in there because it always gives the other teams something to think about.
It certainly seemed to work, at least for the night markets. You guys didn't run it for Control Center, probably for a good reason. I guess the thing that I kind of forget about Pharah is once a fight starts, particularly on Koth, when it's just fight after fight after fight, you have a sort of situation where once the chaos really goes, you have to split your attention between the team and where that Pharah player is going to be, because that Pharah player is usually from another angle, usually way above you, and your DPS players, the DPS players on the other team have to kind of choose between which target they're going for. So I like what you guys are doing there. How are you guys right now deciding when you want to be playing? This is the other pick kind of debate I'm having at the moment, is when do you guys decide as a team whether you should be running a Diva or a Winston or both? Or one over the other, or both, or whatever?
It comes down to where we think the other team's going to play. So a Winston is really only useful for his shield. So if we really need to isolate a player off for a small period of time by placing the shield over him, or if we know that we're going to have trouble with a certain ult that could help with the shield, then we'll throw the Winston in first, put the shield down, and then let our McCrees and other damage dealers shoot from far back. With a Diva is much more get up in their face and help your team out kind of hero. So for the compositions where we just want to be fighting in them and pretending it's Koth, even if it's payload, then we'll typically choose Diva. Plus, Diva has a lot of good uses with her ultimates on the really wide open maps where there's not much area to hide on the objectives. So if you think, the first point of Night Market on Lijiang and the end of Route 66 and stuff, the very last point there, if you take cover, you're actually separating yourself quite a fair distance away from the payload. So it really forces the other team to pick a Reinhardt most of the time. And forcing picks on the other team is always a good thing because you can plan around their plays a lot easier. Yeah.
So got to move on to how you guys are looking for the future now. You've now secured another win for Heroes. You've basically secured your position in the playoffs now. I think it's pretty safe to say you guys are pretty much in. Being one of the really good teams, the top teams in the Australasian region right now, I'm certainly looking forward to seeing you guys playing the playoffs. Where are you guys as a team right now? You've just picked up Primed. You took a bit of time to gel with, obviously with any new player, you have to take a bit of time to gel with them, get the synergy going. Primed now, not so replacing Fail, but really taking the core position over Fail. How are you guys looking now, moving forward towards the playoffs?
We're looking pretty confident, actually. We all have good communication now. When we first started off as a team, we had a lot of communication issues, and that was our major fault, as a team, because we're all pretty high-skilled players in all the backgrounds that we've come from. So we've got the skills there, but we just had atrocious teamwork. But we've taken a lot of time to sit down and talk about how we want to communicate and how we're going to spend our ultimates and stuff. And it's finally starting to work out for us, where we're able to do a lot of teamwork without really thinking about it. It's becoming second nature, and that's helped us out big time because it lets us focus a lot easier in fights when we already have a response for a stimulus in terms of comms and ultimate usage and stuff like that. So we're looking pretty good for the future. I wouldn't be surprised if we were to give the other two top teams like a really good run for their money in the playoffs.
Do you guys see yourselves really cemented now within the top four? I mean, who is a team that gives you the closest competition? I'm not talking about like, obviously you guys are trying to go for Chiefs, you guys are trying to go for spreadsheet, but just to get a good feeling of where you guys feel that you are sitting in the scene right now, who is the team that is closest to you in terms of skill level?
I still feel like Jam is the closest to us in skill level, just because they still have the potential there to just come out of nowhere and really get their act together. We were lucky in the sense that a lot of the heroes that are popular in this patch are heroes that we already have massive practice with. Jam are taking a little bit longer to adjust to that because some of them are having to learn new heroes, but I definitely think that they're still the closest to us in terms of skill level. But Quentium are looking pretty scary, actually. They're coming up there. I wouldn't take them too lightly either.
So they're kind of your big dark horse?
Quentium?
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. They're my dark horse team for sure. I reckon if they keep improving at the rate they're improving, they're going to give the top four a run for its money for sure.
Now, going kind of back, that's kind of to where the season was. Coming into this match, what was your feeling? Because, I mean, earlier this season, I would have put you guys kind of... I mean, I think me and Avril even talked about it. We would have had you and AVANT GARDE toe-to-toe. You guys have come a long way. Did you expect this to be as easy a game as you made it look on Dorado? Or did you expect it...
Both
Sorry, what were you going to say?
Or did you expect it to be a real grind and you thought it would be a really close game?
Usually because it was a fairly early game in the night, we thought we might have had a little bit of trouble because we usually take a little while to warm up. But fortunately, 3 of our players actually had some decent time to warm up this afternoon before playing. So we came in feeling pretty comfortable. Like the damage dealers were already warmed up and ready to go. So we felt pretty good. We never really have had any troubles against AVANT thus far because we have some players from Close Beta, so we've got a little bit more experience. They were obviously, well, I don't know if it's obvious, but they were missing one of their support players. Wakati was murking for them tonight, so that would have been kind of crappy for them as well. But I feel like that we're definitely a better team at the moment, so we weren't really too scared. But it was still a fun game.
All right, and I guess in terms of, while we have your opinions on other teams, you can't say yourselves, who do you think is going to win this season?
This season? Well, I mean, if it's not going to be my team, it's going to be Spreadsheet. The way that they practice and the sort of compositions that they run really show how analytical they are with their approach to the game. They sit down, they think about all of the possible compositions that could work well against whatever compositions they want to run, and they just figure out like very meticulous strategies for how they're going to deal with almost every situation. If anybody's going to beat Spreadsheet this season, it's going to be because they've caught them off guard. There's no way that like people can just fight Spreadsheet straight up and win. It's not going to happen.
Well, pretty good. Good predictions there. I'm definitely looking forward to seeing how you guys go, particularly in the playoffs. Once again, I still think you guys are probably the team, for me anyway, that are most likely going to be able to take it to Chiefs and Untitled Spreadsheet. Certainly in terms of improvement, you guys have been the team that's really been leading the way there and showing that it's not just a 2-team club right at the top. We're going to make that a 3-member team club now, and maybe bring Jam in there as well. So the top 4 is looking pretty tight. Dreamboat, did you have anything else to round out this interview?
Yeah, one thing I feel like not enough people in the scene get like the true appreciation for like. I feel like there's a lot of unsung and like undersold players. So you know, if you want to name one or two, if any come to mind, on who you think really are underappreciated or like underrated players that are actually a lot better than they get.
From my team, I would like to give a special mention to Haste. Haste doesn't really get brought up too often as our star player because he's our flex, so he's not dealing the most damage or anything. But his skill set is absolutely unreal. He has really good aim with hit scan and projectiles. He really thinks about positioning. He stays calm. Like he's my MVP in my books. So I feel like he gets less attention than he deserves.
All right. Well, thanks for coming out. I think I hear that you do have to go play Zowie soon.
Yeah.
So
10
good
minutes.
luck in that. We'll let you get back to your team. Thanks for coming out for the interview and congrats on the win.
Thanks, guys. See you later.
Cheers.